Hey everyone, Anna here, back with Virgo. Okay, I have to be honest with you. When I sat down to tune into this energy for you today, I had to pause because what started coming through was not quiet, it was not subtle, it was the kind of energy that fills a room before anyone has said a single word. Um, so if you've been feeling a low hum of something lately, like static in the air, like anticipation you can't fully name, stay with me. This one is for you. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And if this is landing, make sure you're subscribed because we go deep here at Virgo. Okay, let's get into it, Virgo. There is a particular quality to presence. Not the presence of a body in a room, but the presence of someone's attention. The way a person's focus, when it is fully directed at you, carries a kind of weight that ordinary interaction doesn't. You can feel the difference. You have always been able to feel the difference between someone who is near you and someone who is truly, completely, unmistakably pointed in your direction. Something of that nature seems to be moving toward you right now. Not drifting, not wandering, moving with intention, with a kind of internal momentum that has been building for longer than what is currently visible. The surface of things may still look ordinary. The day to day may still feel like the day to day. But underneath that surface, in the space where decisions are made before they are spoken, something has already been decided, and it is moving toward you. Let's sit with the word strong for a moment, because strength in this context is not aggression, it is not demand, it is something quieter and in many ways more unsettling because it cannot be easily dismissed. It doesn't knock once and leave. It remains. It recurs. It finds its way back into the room through whatever door is available. Whew. The strength of someone's pull toward you when it is real, when it has been tested by time or distance or silence or circumstance, has a texture unlike anything casual. It doesn't feel like interest. It feels like gravity, like an orbit that has already been established, and whatever resistance has been offered has simply not been enough to break the pattern. You may have encountered this energy before in a different form. The person who keeps returning, the name that keeps surfacing, the connection that was never quite resolved, never quite concluded, that persists in the atmosphere between two people, the way a chord persists in the air after the note has stopped being played. What is different now, what seems to have shifted, is that this energy is no longer resting. It is no longer content to exist at the edges. Something has changed internally for this person. A threshold has been crossed, not by external event, but by something that happens in the private hours. In the place where a person finally admits to themselves what they have been avoiding admitting, where the armor of composure becomes too heavy to maintain, where the effort of holding back begins to cost more than the fear of reaching forward. Virgo, you have a particular relationship with being seen. Not because you hide, though you are skilled at selective visibility, but because the version of yourself that most people encounter is curated, even when it doesn't feel curated. You observe before you offer. You understand before you trust. You read the room before you enter it. This is not coldness. This is precision. This is the way you have always navigated a world that often moves faster and less carefully than you would prefer. But there is a specific kind of person, rare and worth noting, who does not need you to curate yourself for them. Who has watched the curated version and understood that there is more behind it? Who has been patient enough, or perceptive enough, or simply drawn enough to stay in your orbit past the point where most people accept what is offered on the surface? This is the kind of person whose energy seems to be present in what is forming around you now. Someone who has learned you in the way that certain places can be learned, not through a single visit, but through return, through sitting in the same light at different times of day, through watching how the shadows move, through coming back. There is a question worth exploring, not to answer, but to hold. What does it mean to be someone's direction? Not their distraction, not their convenience, not the person they turn to when other options have been exhausted, but their direction, the place their attention naturally orients when it is allowed to move freely, the face that arrives uninvited, the presence that inserts itself between the person and whatever they are trying to think about instead. This is not a small thing. And the person carrying this energy toward you, whoever they are, whatever form this takes, seems to be someone for whom you have become exactly that: a direction, a pull, a north that their internal compass keeps finding regardless of which way they turn the dial. The significance of that is worth sitting with, not to build a narrative around it before you have more information, but to let it register, to let yourself feel the weight of being wanted, not casually, not peripherally, but specifically, deliberately, with the full attention of someone who knows what they are reaching for. Let's talk about what coming strong actually looks like from the inside of it. Because from the outside, it often appears as boldness, as confidence, as someone who has decided and is now simply executing that decision. And in some ways, that is accurate. But the interior experience of moving towards someone with genuine intensity is rarely as clean as it appears. There is vulnerability threaded through it. There is risk. There is the particular exposure of a person who has chosen to stop pretending that indifference is an option for them. Uh, what you may be receiving or what may be preparing to arrive carries that interior complexity with it. It is not a performance of strength. It is the result of someone who has argued themselves out of this feeling multiple times and found that the feeling did not accept the argument. Who has tried the alternative distance distraction, the construction of reasons this should not be pursued, and found that the alternative left something essential unresolved? What remains when all the arguments have been made and none of them have worked? That is the energy that is building now. Not reckless, not impulsive, but decided, settled, quietly, unmistakably certain now. And this matters. You are not required to receive this energy passively. You are not a fixed point waiting to be arrived at. You are a person with your own direction, your own orbit, your own set of choices about how close to allow someone to come and under what conditions. What is forming around you is not a demand. It is not a pressure. It is, at its core, an offering, and offerings can be received, can be considered, can be met with curiosity rather than conclusion. You don't have to know what you want before you have been given the chance to see clearly what is being offered. What seems to be true is this: something real is on its way to the surface. Something that has lived below the visible layer of a particular connection is preparing to emerge. And when it does, it will require you to make a choice, not about whether to respond in kind, not about whether to match an intensity you may or may not share, but about whether you are willing to be fully present for a conversation that could change the shape of something. That is not a small choice, and it doesn't have to be made in a single moment, but it is coming. There is an image that keeps surfacing in all of this, and it is the image of a window that has been closed for a long time. Not locked, not sealed, simply closed. The kind of window that, when you finally open it, lets in not just air, but sound. The ambient noise of the world that has been happening just on the other side of the glass. The temperature of the outside meeting the temperature of the inside and settling into something new. What is approaching may feel something like that, like the opening of something that has been technically accessible all along, but that required someone to finally reach for the latch. To commit to the small but significant gesture of, I am opening this. Someone seems to be reaching for the latch. And when they do, when the air changes, when the sound comes through, when the temperature shifts, you will know. Not because it will be announced, but because the quality of the atmosphere between you will be unmistakably different. Something closed will simply no longer be closed. So, Virgo, as you move through the coming days, carry this with you. You are not being approached carelessly. You are not the afterthought of someone who had no other options. You are someone's deliberate direction, someone's persistent return. The answer to a question that person has been trying to stop asking. Oh, that may feel uncomfortable to receive. It may activate the part of you that immediately begins to analyze, to question the evidence, to demand more proof before allowing yourself to believe it. That part of you is not wrong for existing. But consider giving it a little less authority than usual, just for now. Consider allowing the possibility to simply sit in the room with you without immediately requiring it to prove itself. What is forming may not need your analysis yet. It may simply need your presence. Your willingness to stand still long enough to let someone who has been moving toward you finally arrive. That is enough. That is in itself a radical act for someone who moves as carefully as you do. Stand still, Virgo. Something real is on its way, and you are ready for it, even if you don't quite believe that yet.